President goes first, no?
Please remain standing for the rendition of the national anthem by our band. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. To the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, good morning, Mr. President, and happy belated birthday, which was yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. To the Chancellor of the National Orders, who is also the Director General in the Presidency, Ms. Baleni, here with us today. We also have in our midst the Advisory Council on the National Orders. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, who have been called in today by the President of the Republic of South Africa in his capacity as the head of state and government to confer national orders to outstanding individuals who are both South Africans and non-South Africans, people from all over the world. The national orders are awarded once a year during the National Order Awards ceremony like today, hosted by the Presidency. The national orders also are the highest awards that a country, through its president, bestows on its citizens and eminent foreign nationals. The ones we have in our country, the national orders, were conceived in the spirit of nation building and social cohesion. The objectives of the new designs which we see here of these orders is to reflect the ethos and values of the rich diversity of all South African traditions, also to include indigenous symbols and systems of awards, but also to redress the imbalances created by the past policies. Someone who knows better than I do about the national awards is the president, who is the owner of the awards themselves. Mr. President, would request you to come to the fore and address the nation. Thank you very much.
Trying to get my that's much better now. Program Director, Minister Nathi Mthethwa, Ministers and Deputy Ministers. Don't know if the Speaker of the National Assembly is here. I haven't seen her. But if she is here, I extend my greetings to her. Members of Parliament who are here with us, the Chancellor of National Orders, Ms. Phindile Baleni, members of the Advisory Council on National Orders, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished recipients of the National Orders, together with their families, as well as their friends and fellow South Africans. 2 years have passed since we last held a presentation of the National Orders due to COVID-19. This pandemic has cost many lives, it has threatened, and in some cases, devastated many livelihoods, and it has disrupted almost every part of our lives. While we acknowledge that the pandemic is still very much with us, we also recognize the important duty that we have as a nation to honor those amongst us who have made outstanding contributions towards the betterment of our country, as well as the human condition. Through these national orders, we recognize many outstanding individuals who in many ways defied odds and made immense sacrifices, not only for us to attain our freedom, but so that such freedom becomes meaningful and is enjoyed by all. The outstanding individuals that we honor here today are, in different ways, champions of freedom, champions of peace, of human rights, social justice, as well as equality. Regardless of the sphere of life in which they applied themselves, the recipients of the awards today have honored and upheld the values which, when put together, represent the highest ideals of humanity. We are conferring today the Order of Mendi for bravery. Awards of this order are made to South Africans who have performed acts of bravery, often putting their own lives in great danger or losing their own lives in their efforts to save the lives of others. The orders are made to people who, in the most exceptional manner possible, have placed the lives of their fellow men and women above any risk that they themselves faced. We are also conferring the Order of Ikhamanga, which is awarded to South Africans who have excelled in the field of arts, culture, literature, music, journalism, and sport. We can confer it on some of our country's most dedicated and outstanding athletes, to musicians who brought us comfort and hope during the darkest days of apartheid. We confer it on the artists who make our democracy enjoyable and who remain the conscience of our nation, reminding us through their works to fulfill and not to betray the promise of our freedom. These are the people who use their tremendous talent not only to entertain, provoke, and inspire, but to strive for a better, more just and humane society. We honor the writers who have chronicled both the suffering of our people and their remarkable triumphs, their fears and their hopes, their everyday cares, and their timeless desires and aspirations. The Order of the Baobab is awarded to South African citizens for distinguished service in the fields of business and of the economy, science, medicine, and for technological innovation and community service. These people, some of whom are unfortunately no longer with us, are pioneers who laid the path along which others would follow. We honor them, those who worked from the trenches of the struggle against apartheid to build a new society in which the economy is truly inclusive and the country's wealth is shared amongst all our people. These are people who challenge prejudice, who fight for people living with disabilities, and for all those who are marginalized because of nothing other than the circumstances of their birth. These are people who use their knowledge as well as their capabilities, their ideas, their energy to forge a South Africa defined by solidarity, community, and progress. The Order of Luthuli is awarded to South Africans who have served the interests of South Africa by making a meaningful contribution in the struggle for democracy, for human rights, nation building, justice, peace, and conflict resolution. They are the peacemakers who walk into battle armed only with the conviction that there is no dispute too great or too complex that it cannot be resolved peacefully through dialogue. They are the jurists who believe in transformative constitutionalism. They see the purpose of law to be the pursuit of justice in the interests of the dispossessed, the injured, the wronged, as well as the vulnerable. They are the men and women who confront oppression and exploitation wherever they manifest. They are the people who organized pickets and strikes, marches and meetings, vigils and prayers. They organized underground, they took up arms, they went out to the corners of the globe to argue the case for the struggling masses of South Africa. For their efforts, they were restricted, they were banned, detained, banished, tortured, jailed, exiled, and even murdered. And yet, they stood firm, knowing that the guns would fall silent, the jail doors would swing open, and the sound of freedom would ring across the land. The achievement of our freedom owes much to the devout support of the international community. Many countries offered solidarity. Many countries opened their arms to our activists and those who had been driven into exile. Many people in our neighboring countries lost life and limb for our cause. Their national assets were destroyed by bombs and guns. Livelihoods in those countries were shattered. It is for this reason that among us are the recipients of the Order of the Companions of OR Tambo, which is awarded to eminent foreign nationals for friendship shown to South Africa during the darkest hours of our nation. We honor these remarkable human beings who stood alongside our people at home and in exile, who provided material and other assistance to our students, to our activists, and to our combatants. They chronicled the contours of our struggle through their pens. They agitated, they marched and protested against the evil system that reigned illegally in our beloved country. They were arrested for their brave deeds in support of our people. We express our sincere and eternal gratitude to them for joining a struggle that was not theirs, in a land far away from their own, and for giving so much for so long to so many people that they did not even know. I wish to congratulate all those who are to be honored today. This is a roll call of heroes and heroines, of people who have been prepared to devote their talent, their energy, their lives to the affirmation and advancement of others. Since the inception of these national awards, South Africa has honored some 700 heroes and heroines from all hues of life. Out of a population over the years, which you would say average 45 to 50 million, we are 60 million today. Over the years, you could say that would have been the average. This makes these national awards truly prestigious and worthy of the recognition that our country bestows on the recipients. I want to thank the members of the advisory committee for their rigor, as well as hard work in going through hundreds of nominations and doing it out of love and commitment to our country, and also a desire to honor those who we've honored over the years. And they do so without favor and bias. So I thank them, and the country applauds them. By the power vested in me in terms of Section 84 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, I now confer the Order of the Mendi for bravery, the Order of Ikhamanga, the Order of the Baobab, the Order of Luthuli, and the Order of the Companions of OR Tambo to the distinguished persons indicated. And they shall henceforth be honored as esteemed members of the orders. The people of South Africa collectively salute those who are being given these orders today. I thank you.
That's the South African Army Band from KwaZulu-Natal. They've hit the note such that our Rebecca couldn't sit still, on her chair. Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now bestow the Order of Mendi for bravery.
The Order of Mendi for bravery. The heroes of the Mendi gave up their lives in order that there may be peace in the world. In order that men and women of all colors and faiths may regard one another as brothers, not aliens, friends, not foes, and as partners and co-workers in God's scheme of things. This, I think, is the supreme message of the Mendi. In his words, Reverend S.D. Moki said, this is the supreme message of the Mendi, that all men, everywhere, should regard one another in the very best of terms, and realize, as perhaps never before, that their destiny is one, and that since in death they are one, why should they not be one in life too? We die together in war, but fight one another in peacetime. Why can't we here and now live together in love, even as we die side by side in war? That, I say, is the supreme message of the Mendi. In the language of the poets, S.E.K. Kai said, "Ah, those dead stood in the foremost rank of Africa. Great the ship's burden when she sank. Brave of the brave they were, men who bring with their blood greetings to the King of Kings. Death has its rewards to live again. Gladly, I would stand with them, new risen men, and shine like one whose work is well done in the great brightness of that day's dawn. So then, let it be."
The Order of Mendi for bravery in silver, awarded to Mr. Royden Olcas, represented here today, Mr. Royden Olcas posthumously, represented here today by Mr. Donovan Olcas. For courageously saving the lives of 2 learners and sacrificing his own. Order of The Order of Mendi for bravery in silver, Mr. Chad Basson, posthumously, represented today by Mr. Cornelius Basson. For his ultimate sacrifice of saving lives from certain death and taking a stray bullet, shielding a stranger from a gang. The Order of Mendi for bravery in gold, Mr. Qinisizwe Kwezi Sylvester Sizwe Kondile, posthumously, represented here today by Mr. Bantu Nzuka. For his ultimate sacrifice to the liberation of South Africa, he endured unspeakable torture and cruelty, refusing to betray his comrades' right to the victorious end of his life. The Order of Mendi for bravery in gold, awarded to Reverend Isaac William Joba Wokop posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Natalia Sifuba. For providing morale through poignant words and support in the darkest hour of soldiers who died in the sinking of the SS Mendi. His words and courage are his iconic legacy that lives on. We're done with Mendi.
Distinguished guests, we will now bestow the Order of Ikhamanga.
In silver, bestowed to Ms. Fee Halstead Banning. For her contribution to visual art and generous transferring of skills to others. Yes, Mr. President. The Order of Ikhamanga in silver, bestowed on Ms. Batsugile Rebecca Malope. For her distinguished contribution to South African music, her unique voice brings joy and comfort to many through meaningful gospel music.
Give you this.
The Order of Ikhamanga in silver is bestowed on Mr. Arthur Maisela posthumously, represented today by Mr. Stephen Maisel. For his skillful and entertaining boxing acumen, he delighted many and left a mark as the fighting prince. The Order of Ikhamanga in gold is bestowed on Dr. Raymond Lowe posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Fiona Ramsey. For his enormous contribution to the field of journalism and using the pen as his weapon to expose lies and shine the light on the atrocities of apartheid. Order of Ikhamanga in gold, bestowed on Dr. Khotso Peter David Mapalla posthumously, represented today by Mr. Sichaba Mapalla. For his tireless contribution to the Sesotho language's body of literary works and cultural storytelling. The Order of Ikhamanga in gold, bestowed on Professor Sibusiso Cyril Nyembezi posthumously, represented here today by Dr. Busi Nyembezi. For his renowned contribution to the scholarship and lexicon of isiZulu language. His skillful turn of phrase in storytelling poses as a towering challenge to many who try to translate his works. The Order of Ikhamanga in gold, bestowed on Dr. Begizizwe Joseph Shabalala posthumously, represented here by Mrs. Thokozile Shabalala. For his exceptional contribution to the promotion of African Isicathamiya music, which showcased in the world stages and brought honor and unity to South Africa.
Thank you very much, our band. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President will now bestow the Order of Baobab.
The Order of the Baobab. We gathered under the shade of the Baobab tree, listening to the wind gently whistling legends of old. Through the branches, magical worlds appeared. It gathered shelter to both human and animal. The tree of friendship has fed us with sweet fruits and protected our bodies with its own skin. The baobab sustains life from the roots to the top of the branches. As the baobab tree stretches wide and long through the exceptional qualities of tolerance and service, we bestow the order of the baobab as a grateful gesture, peace, cooperation, and active expression of solidarity. The gift for a safe place under the tree.
The Order of the Baobab in bronze is awarded to Dr. Samalani Judith Ngwenya. For her contribution to the capacity building of sustainable agriculture, as well as the empowerment of communities. The Order of the Baobab in silver, bestowed on Professor Lynette Denny. For her contribution to the field of obstetrics, an age-old honorable tradition of ushering new life into earth and ensuring the safety of both mother and child. The Order of the Baobab in silver is hereby bestowed on Mr. Brian David Ingpen, represented here today by Mr. Graham John Ingpen. for his contribution to the education of young people about maritime life, leading to many recognizing him as the father of secondary school-based maritime education in South Africa. The Order of the Baobab in silver, bestowed on Ms. Nolwandle Mbowene. For her contribution to education and business.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's the Order of Luthuli.
Luthuli. This is the order for outstanding contribution in struggle for democracy, nation building, and human rights, justice, peace, and resolution of conflict on the continent. Throughout its history, the liberation struggle always formed alliances that would enhance its vision of a united, non-racial South Africa. In that time, it cultivated men and women of extraordinary courage, intellect, and selflessness to direct this vision. Amongst them was Nkosi Albert John Mbumbi Luthuli, a committed servant of his people. He pursued a path that displaced the notion of war and violence as vehicles to achieve freedom. On his way to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, Togo Makanya says, "Home, hills and mountains, even though you are silent, the worlds across the seas have heard. Waves, I praise you for carrying my voice across the oceans. To the shores of Norway and America, I am now consoled that the corners of the world have heard."
The Order of Luthuli in silver is hereby bestowed on Dr. Abubakar Asfat posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Hasina Asfat. For his enormous contribution in the lives of the freedom fighters and the poor by generously providing medical care, which was desperately needed. He was the people's doctor. The Order of Luthuli in silver, hereby bestowed on Ms. Audrey Coleman. For her contribution to the fight for liberation and the promotion of human rights through active involvement in lobbying using both civic organizations and later government institutions. The Order of Luthuli in silver, hereby bestowed on Mr. Max Coleman, represented by Mr. Neil Coleman. For his contribution to the fight for liberation and promotion of human rights through active involvement in lobbying, utilizing both civic organizations and government institutions. The Order of Luthuli in silver is hereby bestowed on Mr. Zazi Kuzwayo posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Kumagwabo Kuzwayo. For his contribution to the development of black business and the fight against apartheid. The Order of Luthuli in silver is hereby bestowed on Ms. Cigizwa Constance Smalley Maqungu, posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Ntabiseng Maqungu. For her brave stand against injustice, she withstood torture and refused to turn state witness. The Order of Luthuli in silver, hereby bestowed on Ms. Nikiwe Debs Machoba, posthumously, represented today by Ms. Lesego Mabale. For her courageous contribution to the liberation struggle during repressive times that could lead to torture, imprisonment, or death. The Order of Luthuli in silver, hereby bestowed on Ms. Hilda Mali Mokwena. For her contribution to the fight for the liberation of South Africa. Oh.
No, I'll do it.
The Order of Luthuli in silver, hereby bestowed on Ms. Laura Mpahlwa, posthumously. Represented by Dr. Layanda Mpahlwa. For her contribution to the liberation movement, Black business development, and the nursing profession. The Order of Luthuli in gold, hereby bestowed on Mr. Thomas Mantata, posthumously, represented by Ms. Barbara Mantata. For his active participation in human rights matters, ranging from the rights of the elderly, land issues, to traditional leadership. The Order of Luthuli in gold, hereby bestowed on Ms. Betham Kize, posthumously, represented here today by Ms. Yasmin Ismail. for her brave contribution to the liberation of South Africa. In addition to her legendary activism, she also participated in the 1925 Defiance Campaign. 1952, yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, we are still busy with your booklets there. Earlier on when we announced the Luthuli Award. And you could see Minister Kungubele dancing just for the mere mentioning of Luthuli Awards. Thank you very much. We, ladies and gentlemen, proceed to now bestow the Order of the Companions of OR Tambo.
The revolutionary thinker, humanist, and mentor of our nation, leader par excellence. As companions, we pondered in silence and wonderment, watching the friend and protector, Majola, visiting the newborn generation.
On this occasion, the world is with us in support, guaranteeing that we shall win.
In remembrance of OR, the Moses of our nation, who led us with his encouraging teachings and moral guidance into the promised land. We honor your spirit as Majola safeguards the young and vulnerable of our society, preparing the vulnerable child for a successful and safe adulthood. President of the ANC for more than 30 years. With this in mind, the Order of Companions of OR Tambo is bestowed on individuals who have actively expressed solidarity, support, and encouragement towards the young and growing members of the human race.
Amanda! Martha! Martha! All power!
The Order of the Companions of OR Tambo in silver, hereby bestowed on Mr. Anthony Dax from the United Kingdom. For his lifelong commitment to the development of South and Southern Africa. The Order of the Companions of OR Tambo in silver is hereby bestowed on Dr. Gail Gerhardt from the United States of America. She will be represented today by retired Deputy Justice Dikgang Moseneke. Deputy Chief Justice. Deputy Chief Justice as corrected. For her enormous contribution to the struggle for liberation with her writing and keeping records of the heroic acts of freedom fighters. Order of the Companions of OR Tambo in silver, hereby bestowed on Mr. Jürgen Leyhus from Germany, hereby represented by Mr. Vusi Mkunu. For his commitment and determination to be on the side of the oppressed and fighting for their cause as an anti-apartheid activist. Order of the Companions of OR Tambo in silver, hereby bestowed on Ms. Malin Salman from Sweden. For using the arts to raise awareness of human rights violations during the repressive period in South Africa. She continues to be an active friend of South Africa and its artists.
have come to the end of our program today. Even if we wanted to extend, we couldn't, because the band here has shown us the door through that piece way back home. So they want us back home, basically. I know that it's a note. The president reminded me when we were reaching that point that war nedda. That's what he said. Ati won't understand these things, Mr. President. Their group won't understand. But Ambassador Mphahlwa knows the note. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we are all invited to the lunch with the President in the Marquee. Procedurally now will allow the President, the Chancellor of the National Orders, the recipients, and the advisory council of the National Orders to, in that sequence, make way, and all of us will then follow to the Marquee. Mr. President, thank you very much. Thank you, our Chancellor. Ladies and